Aunt Lucy!
Hola! I'm afraid she set off on some sort of quest.
But she knew we were coming.
Well, that's what's so mysterious.
Where are you, Aunt Lucy?
Seek out what she was looking for, and it may lead you to her.
Excuse me, sir. Is this boat for hire?
Captain Hunter Cabot, at your service. Your map is the key to finding El Dorado.
You mean... Nice chips.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel and time for another episode of Luke's Reviews. On today's video, I'm going to be discussing what I think was my third most anticipated movie of the year. And I say that without a shred of sarcasm, because this is my review of Paddington in Peru. Paddington Brown is now officially a British citizen, and upon hearing of his Aunt Lucy's mysterious disappearance, embarks on a daring adventure through the jungles of Peru alongside the Brown family. Upon this journey, they'll encounter everything the wildlife has to throw at them, a secretive boat captain, and peculiar nuns at the home for retired bears. Even the darkest and dreariest of souls would find it immensely difficult not to crack a smile when watching the Paddington movies. There has never been a more perfect example of warm and whimsical filmmaking. It'll have audiences of all ages laughing, wiping away the tears, and simply feeling better about life. Don't take my word for it. Just listen to the thoughts of Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal.
Paddington 2 is incredible.
I told you.
Heck, Paddington 2 briefly dethroned the Citizen Kane to become the most positively reviewed film of all time. So, there was no pressure at all going into this third entry. Look, let's be completely honest with ourselves. It was going to have to take a miracle for Paddington in Peru to even match the same stratospheric heights of the first two films. Especially when news came that Paul King, the director of Paddington 1 and 2, and writer Simon Farnaby were not returning for as much of a direct involvement in this third installment. Alarm bells did begin to ring. But it was Dougal Wilson who stepped up to the plate, and whilst, alas, I cannot sit here and say that Paddington in Peru is likely going to be remembered as fondly as Paddington's 1 and 2, I can still tell you with utter joy in my heart that this is an immensely enjoyable film, fun for all ages. I will start off with my negative thoughts on the film because the film's biggest mistake is taking the action out of London. There was something so effortlessly endearing about watching Paddington try to understand the London Underground, where he's boarding an escalator, carrying a dog under one arm and standing on one leg. It's a brilliant fish out of water scenario as he's adjusting to the London way of life. Now, I completely understand that now that we're 3 movies in, Paddington can't necessarily be still adjusting in that same way. Like, he's got to have gotten used to an extent of London life. And you still allow for simple situations of mishaps and misunderstandings to take place. There's a hilarious sequence involving Paddington getting his picture taken in a photo booth. You've seen it in the trailers. And that is classic, quintessential Paddington humour. But there's simply just not enough of that attitude, because it really isn't long until we, along with the Browns, are flung off to Peru, and we get a little bit of a change of pace, because in this instance, it's the Browns who are those fishes out of water. They're struggling to adapt to the rules of the jungle. There's still plenty of opportunity for laughs and hijinks, but it's not quite the same, because when Paddington is having those eccentric adventures in London, he's also learning and developing. There is a hilarious slapstick sequence that takes place in Paddington 2 as Paddington is wanting to earn some money so he can buy Aunt Lucy's books, so he starts washing windows for his neighbours along his street. And it's brilliant slapstick. It makes me laugh every single time I watch it, but there is a superb moment where Paddington washes the dingy windows of a soldier who, for lack of a better term, is very depressed. And there's a shot where once Paddington has cleaned his windows, light begins to not fill just his room, but his life. He has a renewed sense of purpose. That is the sense of warmth that a Paddington movie can bring, and I found it lacking in Paddington in Peru. First two Paddington films, we're seeing through Paddington's eyes. The city of London, even some of the more mundane parts, are lit up to be colourful, fantastical even. There's also a deeper subtextual context about immigration and how you accept your neighbours for who they are. But it doesn't do any good to reminisce on what Paddington in Peru could have been, and let's enjoy it for what it is. A thoroughly enjoyable family feature. Ben Whishaw as Paddington remains the surge of wholesomeness that these movies thrive on, always endeavouring to find the good in people and never acting out of his own self-interests. I often think that we as the human race could learn a lot of how to act from this marmalade-loving bear. The Browns each have their own new quirks. Hugh Bonneville as Mr. Brown, this time round, is having to conquer his own fears and embrace risk for a change. Emily Mortimer, who takes over from Sally Hawkins from the first two films, retains the motherly care needed for Mrs. Brown, but I have to say that I think Mortimer lacked the eccentricity that Hawkins brought to that role particularly. As for new adventurers in the Paddington world, Antonio Banderas is on great form as the captain that the Browns hire to help in their search for Aunt Lucy. Banderas plays with the secrecy of his character for a little while before going full balmy and portraying various incarnations of his character's ancestors to brilliant comic effect. Olivia Colman is splendid also as the Mother Superior of the Home for Retired Bears. She is going full spoof of The Sound of Music, etching the cheesiest of grins across her face and participating in just a ridiculous musical number that is towards the opening of the film. The visual effects are impressive as always, and I always appreciate that the team give their all in bringing Paddington to life so that you never question his place in this real world. I am convinced that he is there in the fur on set. And yes, I cried. I cried when Aunt Lucy showed up at the end of Paddington 2, and I cried at the end of Paddington in Peru. I can't help it. That little bear, he just knows how to nuzzle his way to your heart. Paddington in Peru is the weakest of the trilogy. There's just no escaping that fact. But to say you're the weakest Paddington movie is no insult by any means. It might lack the whimsical charm we've fallen in love with previously, but there is a marvellous journey to be had, and the film is packed with oodles of heart that it's still impossible to resist. There's plenty of laughs, and maybe the odd tear shed. Paddington in Peru still knocks the socks off of many other family films, and is perfect to watch with the whole family. I'm going to give Paddington in Peru a 7.5 out of 10. Anyway guys, those are my thoughts on Paddington in Peru. Let me know, have you had a chance to see the film yet? What did you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And my question to you, a bit of a broad one, but what is your favourite family film? And I'm not necessarily saying that it has to be the best quality film, but a film that means something to you for sentimental reasons. It reminds you with sitting with family or friends and makes you feel warm and fuzzy on the inside. But that's all the time we have for today, so thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button, and if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.